So I'd like to show you meditation using the 4 elements. So this isn't one of our standard ones for EFC, but I really recommend doing it at least 3 or 4 times. Maybe you could do it once a week, for example, as an alternative to one of the major meditations we do. So why? Well, it's interesting. It's another way of looking at 4 elements in a more subtle way. If we're exploring 4 elements, jumping around the room or chatting, verbally, that's really useful. It's really useful, but you can also explore it within the body in a slightly more subtle way, and this can give you a deeper understanding of it. And it's also a way of shifting into elements in a way which isn't necessarily noticeable or socially inappropriate. So yeah, it's another element literally to your meditation practice as well. It's one I really enjoy, so give it a go, try it a few times, and hopefully this will deepen your understanding of 4 elements. There's traditional sort of Theravadan ways of doing it, which is a type of Buddhism. You'll find Tibetan 5-element ones, Indian 5-element ones, different variations of this on the internet, I'm sure. But this is my particular flavor. It's mostly influenced by Theravadan, which is sort of old school Buddhist meditation. Normally, you don't have to do it in this order, but normally I start with earth, water, fire, air. Incidentally, that's normally the way I start in corporates as well, because it's kind of from the less weird to the more silly. Okay, so starting with earth, we're focusing on the physical body, the body that is solid. Maybe I can feel my bones here touching the chair, sit bones, my feet, the lower half of the body. So 4 elements of meditation works with body systems, body parts, how we pay attention, so the manner of which we do the meditation itself. So there's a few ways to play with it. With earth, we're focusing on the lower half of the body and anything solid in the body, so particularly the bones. The breathing, I might focus on the belly. Also focusing on qualities of stability, balance, structure. It's important you find a really stable position when you start with earth. I'm also encouraging a slow and systematic way of practicing. Bringing a certain formality to the meditation. You're noticing the points of contact literally with the ground. Is it possible to relax into those points a little more? Is it possible to bring a little more steadiness to the breath and to the posture? Noticing any emotional shifts, mental shifts, perceptual shifts. Is there a subtle quality of earthiness you can tune into anyhow? You can even visualize far deeper below the ground in the rock, right underneath you, miles below you. Or visualize yourself sitting as a mountain, or as the roots of a tree. transition to water now, so softening the spine a little bit, maybe taking the pelvis forward if you're in a chair so you can make the spine a little rounder. Softening the jaw. I like to open my palms a little, bring some fluidity. Finding the hips, the belly, some softness in the peripheral vision. Whether your eyes are open or closed, the eyes can be relaxed. Softening the jaw, softening the belly. Noticing the fluids of the body. The wetness of the eyes, the mouth. Having a sense of the fluids in the body. Lymph, blood, the stomach, sexual organs. We're mostly sacs of water. You get in touch with that fluid self. You can focus on the solar plexus, the stomach area. Or the fluidity of the body, so if there's little movements happening, that's okay. You may notice a kind of wave of the spine. Still pretty low, pretty slow, and receptive. You visualize yourself as a sponge soaking up anything you can hear, anything you think. And whatever you're feeling, noticing how you're feeling, thinking, perceiving again. Allowing your practice itself to flow. Maybe the attention flows a bit less stiff. Flowing, receptive, accommodating. Kind of cutting yourself some slack a little bit. You can use a visualization, of course, of an ocean or a pond, river, or just visualizing the actual fluids of your body. I can feel my blood pumping. Let's move into fire. So having the posture a little more forward, so not uncomfortably so, but taking the pelvis in the opposite direction. I'm going to take my palms down and my head's coming just slightly forwards of my hips, like I'm leaning into the meditation. And you definitely want your hips higher than your knees for this. Your pillow can help. I find that my head goes down a little bit. And I'm breathing now a little more in the chest. I'll exaggerate so you can hear. It's this kind of quality. Almost a very subtle growl. A little more pushing and pulling with the breath rather than flowing. A little more muscular activity. Maybe subtle. And the eyes are focused, whether they're open or closed, they're focused. A little muscularity, a little tone, like you could jump up and do something. If the mouth is normally soft, it can firm up a little bit. You don't need to clench your jaw, but a little firmer. And focus on the heat of the body. Every cell in your body is firing away, respiring. Heat is a byproduct of life. You can visualize yourself breathing fire, being on fire. All those cells in the body like little factories burning away, burning glucose to create energy. You can focus on heat and movement. So the body's always moving. There's always movement of the muscles, and certainly the blood, hot blood pushing around the body. Movement and the potential for action. Notice any effects on your emotions, cognitions, perceptions. Being a little more fiery. Let's come to air. So I'm taking my posture back slightly and bringing my attention to the top of my head, to my face, and to my fingertips. Allowing myself to smile a little bit. It's fine to be in your thoughts for this, to notice your thinking. The air going in and out the tip of your nose. You can visualize all the space in your body, on a molecular level, we're mostly space, so it's 99 point etc. % space. You can visualize all that space in all the cells. And the actual air of the body, which is in and out of your lungs, but then, the oxygen, the carbon dioxide going through every cell. The joints have air in them. And every molecule has space. Maybe letting your head be light on the top of your spine. You can bring your attention even above your head. Allowing a sense of playfulness to come into the body. How would that be embodied? Maybe visualizing breathing rainbows. Something creative. You could have fun with it. Imagine you have a unicorn blowhole or a dolphin blowhole, or a unicorn horn. Allow yourself to be creative and amused and light, non-attached. If you notice emotions, how do you let them go? Thoughts coming and going. Noticing the effect on thinking, perception, emotion. And being creative, being playful. Before with fire, we were fierce, focused, determined. Forgot to say that. Now, more loose, more playful, more spontaneous, free. And lastly, I'd like you to come to how you normally meditate. You may have noticed one of those was more or less familiar, the familiarity principle. In the last couple of minutes, return to normal, whatever normal is for you. Your standard technique of body scanning or mindfulness of breath. And notice if it has a flavor of one of these. Maybe you've been unconsciously doing one of these a little bit, very determined or very loose, very structured or very playful. So bringing awareness to the habitual in light of this range, this palette we've just laid out. And maybe you want to be a little bit more conscious in that. So awareness and choice, as ever. Is there a choice you want to make back to your standard body scanning or breath technique to make that choice a little bit more one of those elements that might be useful for you? This might be part of your practice now. How are you meditating? Not just the technique, but the how. How is the embodiment? Okay, thanking yourself for your practice, noticing any changes, and having an intention to bring it into your life. This is something that you can easily incorporate into daily life by shifting attention to one of those basic states: solid, liquid, movement and heat and air, so just pure physics, or aspects of the body: lower, mid, upper, or body systems like bones, fluid, muscle, and breath. So I hope there's something useful there for you, and you get a deeper understanding of the 4 elements model.